Hey everyone, welcome back to Shirley's Strange Tales. Today, we're exploring one of the strangest, yet deeply emotional, traditions in ancient China, ghost marriages, or what the Chinese call Minghun. At first, the idea sounds eerie, arranging marriages for people who have already died. But behind this strange ritual lies a story about love, duty, and the ancient Chinese belief in harmony between life and death. The origins, balance between yin and yang. The roots of ghost marriage go way back, even before Confucianism or Taoism were formed. In ancient China, people believed the entire universe was built on two opposite but complementary forces, yin and yang. Everything in the world needed balance, male and female, light and dark, life and death. So, if a person died unmarried, their family might worry that their spirit was unbalanced, lonely, incomplete. To restore harmony, they would find the person a partner in the afterlife. In fact, early historical texts from the Zhou dynasty, that's more than 2,000 years ago, already mentioned the practice. The government even tried to ban it, calling it improper and against human ethics. But that didn't stop people. For the next 2 millennia, the custom not only survived, it thrived, becoming part of China's deep cultural fabric. From ritual to myth. Over time, the idea of pairing even the dead became woven into mythology. One famous example is the story of Nuwa and Fuxi, two ancient deities said to have created humankind. At first, Nuwa stood alone as a mother goddess. But later myths gave her a divine husband, Fuxi, so that even gods would follow the principle of yin and yang, nothing can exist alone. The saying Guyin Biusheng, Duyang Biuchang, yin cannot exist alone, and yang cannot grow by itself, shows just how deeply that belief ran. It wasn't just about humans, it was a cosmic rule. And even Chinese emperors followed it. During the Northern Wei dynasty, Emperor Xiaowen arranged a ghost marriage for his daughter, a princess who had died unmarried. He chose a husband for her and held a royal-level ceremony, complete with full wedding rituals. So this wasn't just folk superstition, it existed from the lowest villages to the imperial court. The philosophy behind it. Ghost marriage was deeply tied to two major philosophies, Taoism and Confucianism. Taoism saw the world as full of spirits and energies. People believed humans had multiple souls, and those souls continued to exist after death. That meant the dead could still feel loneliness, longing, even love. So marrying them off wasn't creepy, it was compassionate. It made sure their souls weren't wandering in pain. Confucianism, on the other hand, focused on family honor and duty. In traditional Chinese society, an unmarried daughter who died couldn't be buried in her family's ancestral tomb, because by custom, she was supposed to belong to her husband's family. That left her spirit without a home. To fix that, parents would arrange a ghost marriage, finding her a symbolic husband, so she could rest properly and join a family line. It wasn't only about belief, it was about love, respect, and saving face for the family. Of course, not everyone saw it that way. Some people criticized ghost marriages as a product of patriarchy, caring more about lineage than the person's actual soul. Still, for many families, it was a way to bring peace to their loved ones, even after death. How ghost marriages worked. The process was surprisingly elaborate. Families often hired a ghost matchmaker, usually an older woman who knew local families and spiritual customs. She'd help find a suitable partner for the deceased. Then came divination, using rituals to ask the spirits for approval. Sometimes, they'd plant 2 flags beside the deceased. If both flags moved gently in the same direction, it was a sign the spirits agreed. If one stayed still, even in the wind, it meant rejection. Once the match was accepted, the families prepared the wedding. There were wedding clothes, offerings, sometimes even paper effigies representing the couple. And finally, the two were buried together, or their ancestral tablets placed side by side, now husband and wife in the spirit world. Variations and darker sides. Not all ghost marriages were romantic. Sometimes they were arranged to fulfill a broken engagement, when two people had been promised to each other but died before they could marry. But other times, the practice turned dark. There were cases where a living woman was forced to marry a deceased man's spirit, often for money or family pressure. These women were expected to live as widows for the rest of their lives, with no freedom to remarry. And in some regions, there were even stories of trickery, families leaving red envelopes on the street containing the birth details of a dead daughter, hoping a man would unknowingly pick her up, symbolically agreeing to the ghost marriage. Those darker forms revealed the ugly side of a tradition once meant to bring peace, showing how patriarchy and poverty could twist belief into exploitation. The decline of ghost marriages. By the 20th century, things began to change. When the People's Republic of China was founded in 1949, the government started pushing for modernization and scientific thinking. Old customs like ghost marriages were labeled feudal superstition and banned. During the Cultural Revolution, traditional rituals were destroyed, and ghost marriages almost disappeared completely. Today, the practice still exists in a few rural areas, but it's extremely rare. Most Chinese people now see it as part of history, or as a reflection of love that continues beyond death. In a way, the ghost marriage was never really about fear or superstition. It was about grief. About families trying to comfort themselves and their loved ones, believing that even in death, no one should be alone. A love that transcends death. So, what can we learn from ghost marriages? They remind us that ancient China saw life and death as a continuous cycle, not a sharp divide. Marriage, in that world, wasn't just a social contract, it was a spiritual connection that could bridge worlds. For modern audiences, ghost marriages may seem unsettling, even sad. But at their heart, they show something universal, our human desire to keep love, family, and memory alive, even beyond the grave. That's all for today's episode of Shirley's Strange Tales. If you enjoy creepy stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Shirley, see you next time, with even more thrilling stories.